Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today it's the 27th of February. It's Tuesday, the year 2024. We have 29 days. I think we have 29 days this year, don't we? All right. Well, a couple more days left of February, and then it's into March. What a shock, I know. Hopefully, everybody can see and hear me okay. Hope you're all doing well. I've got a great show lined up because I was excited. I've been excited since last month to want to do this review. I'm so excited. I put my branded shirt on. That's how important this is to me. So I'm not getting paid for this review. We'll tell you a little bit about what's coming up here, but these are obviously some Geekom Mini PCs. And I want to show you some things you should consider if you're considering buying one. One being a mini PC, and you're not sure which brand to pick from. Different brands have different benefits, all right? So we're going to go over the benefits I care about most, which is overall quality and support. Some people, it's all about money, right? Just whatever you can get for $200 or something. And we have brands for that too. However, I wouldn't consider Geekom a budget brand, but I also wouldn't consider them an expensive high-end brand either. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, hi, welcome in everybody, and thank you, Frankie B, right on. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the contribution. And Lou Greeny renews membership now. I'm a member for 21 months here in our tech club. Members get exclusive access to members only Mondays. That's live content where I interact with my members in a much more informal, slower pace, no advertising, for the most part, I might show a repair. I usually talk about what's coming up for the week, what's going on behind the scenes, some of the things I've been doing for customers, and address questions and talk about some subject matter I don't think is appropriate for the public videos. If you become a member, you have access to that. You're also helping to curate this content because we don't want to become a puppet for a corporation to tell us what we can say and what we can review, and that they have to approve it before we air it, and we have to change it until they like it, or we don't get paid. I don't like that. And so the support from you guys is what makes this all possible, including support from companies like Geekom that send us these units for free without any contract. We're free to review them honestly under no written agreement. We just are going to do an honest review. If I thought the product was going to be terrible, I likely would buy it from Amazon, not have a company send me something I don't think I'm going to like. So if I accept a product from a company, they reach out first. I think about whether or not it fits in line with the subject matter that we do here. And then I wonder if it's something I want to associate myself with. And sometimes I get tricked. We all get tricked. But we just don't see those brands come back because we don't make that same mistake twice. Now, clearly, this is our third or fourth Geekom unit, at least our third. So when you see brands coming back, it's not because of any financial incentive. I don't get paid, regardless of the brands. When we talk about Acronis and RoboForm, we talk about Instant House Call, we talk about VIP CDK deals. Those are only deals I make if you buy something. So just keep that in mind. It's just a commission-based type situation, and they're all products I use. Now, if I was going to use a mini PC, and right now I'm not using any of them, there's a lot of favorites I've got out there. But always, it seems like the latest and greatest tends to be my favorite because it's going to have the best chip in it. And I mean, if you just look at the size of the boxes, the Mini IT11, which was from 2 years ago, the Mini IT12, see how the box got a little bit bigger? Kind of hard to tell that way. Maybe you could look this way. Box got a little bit bigger. And then the technology shifted and everything shrunk down and got faster. And then the box got a little bit smaller. That tickles me because this is more powerful than the two beneath it, but it's also the smallest. Welcome to the world of technology. Now, some people might say, they're expensive, but they're not. My first computer, so let's talk about that for a minute. I bought my first computer somewhere in the late 80s. It was a 286-12 that would boost or turbo to 16. And of course, I didn't get that the year the 286 came out because that would have been more than I could afford. But somewhere around 1986, I spent $1,200 for a computer, keyboard, mouse, monitor, everything. It was a green screen, not a color monitor. And that was $1,200, which approximately in today's money is about 3 times. So $1,200 in 1986 is the equivalent of about $3,300, $3,400 today, a little less than 3 times. And these computers that we're showing you from Geekom, these aren't cheap, budgety computers unless you want a quality, well-built machine with support at a budget price. Keeping in mind, you're going to get support and you're going to get quality. So when the Intel NUC came along, we reviewed our first Intel NUC pretty much when it was introduced back in April of 2013. That's 11 years ago here on this channel. And Intel has since said, we're not going to do the NUCs anymore. We'll let somebody else do them. And they licensed Asus to take over, although Intel still owns it and Intel can license it to other people. It's not like they said only Asus. And we've looked at other Geekom units like this Mini IT11 and how it compared with an Intel NUC of the same specs. They were almost identical twins in every way: thickness, size, case, ports, even when you open it up and look inside. I could not tell you which one was the Geekom and which one was the NUC, but the NUC was $100 plus more than the Geekom. So yay Geekom, right? So if you want to buy a $200 mini PC, we've reviewed those too. But that's not what these are. These are way better than that. And I would go so far as to say this new one right here, the A7, is likely more powerful than any desktop, not only that you're using now, but that you've ever used in your life. It's a pretty bold statement, but I'm going to show you why. Now, clearly, there's a few of you out there that have some pretty nice, recently built machines that can outdo this, but I don't think you make up more than about 5 or 8% of the crowd. Maybe I'm wrong. I know a lot of people are running older machines. And when you consider just what you're getting for the money on this Geekom A7, you can't even build that for twice the price. I would say if you wanted to build the equivalent desktop for this configuration, you'll be somewhere close, if not at twice the price. And this will consume less power than your desktop will. So your electricity cost over the course of ownership will be cheaper on this. So I'm super excited to talk about this. I know you think I must be getting paid to be so enthusiastic. Nope. It's interesting on the internet. If I have something to complain about, I'm honest. I mean, that's what everybody assumes. Wow, look how honest that guy is to complain about that. But when I really like something, oh, that guy must be paid. The internet is a strange place. So without any evidence of me being paid, nothing more than the viewer's imagination. I mean, I could say, well, that viewer must be a pedophile. I mean, I don't have any evidence of it, but clearly somebody who thinks that way must be somebody who's a pedophile. I think they wouldn't like that if I did that to them. I am fully transparent on this channel, and I'm allowed to like stuff. I do like this. And I think you'll agree when you see what it is and what it costs. I think you're going to want one. Shall we look into it? All right, let's take a quick look here. Dom Parada contributes $4.99. He says, are there any cool tech conferences or field trips coming up? You know, Dom, all of that stopped around the time of the pandemic. The E3 gaming convention has been, rest in peace, it's gone. Comdex for me is old and has been. There wasn't really, Geekom wanted me to come out to Comdex because this was their showcase piece at Comdex this year. And so they couldn't really tell me about it except at Comdex. So they wanted me to come out and cover it. But I'm not it's just too expensive. And the pandemic hasn't really gone away. And there's still a lot of, the reporting of the news of it has gone down. But whether it's RSV or COVID or whatever it is, there's still some danger in going to really heavily crowded spaces like the Consumer Electronics Show or concerts. So I'm not much of a traveler. The last traveling I did for a conference was Acronis in Miami in 2019, and then the pandemic hit. And it's funny because people just like forgot about the pandemic. Carey, whatever happened with the t-shirts, these shirts you're going to order? I was going to. And then remember when I said I was going to do that? It was January of 2020. What happened in February, in March, in April, as I was doing the research? People like, oh yeah. Someone says, Carey, I missed those live presentations you used to do. The pandemic hit. I couldn't do live presentations in front of people, especially when most of them are elderly. They're more immunocompromised potentially. Oh yeah. I mean, people have forgotten. It's the weirdest thing. But anyway, no, I don't travel much anyway. But if you turn around and tell me there's still a pandemic going on, we're just not reporting it as much. Don't get me wrong. I still go to the grocery store. I go to regular places, but I don't go to crowded places. Everywhere where people are jammed in, concerts. I'll rather just stay at home watching on TV. I know I sound like a ball of fun. No, nothing's coming up. David Graham contributes $2. He goes, your video's looking great. Hey, right on. Thank you, David. Planet Cryos with $2 says, good to see you. Hope all is well. Back at you, my friend. Good to see you too. Ben Laird joining us from Scotland with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Ben. Ben in Scotland. All right. Luke Greenia says, I still love my Ace Magician CK10. That thing is rock solid and trouble-free. Okay, so one would argue with that model that it's very plasticky. This one has an aluminum body. So that's what I'm talking about, like quality, right? Not necessarily reliability. I think reliability is going to be pretty solid among all of them if you allow them to breathe and you haven't blocked airflow and you show a modicum of consideration for the machine, whether you leave it on or not. I've had people tell me why their machine died. Oh, I had one of these mini PCs and it overheated and died. How do you know it overheated and died? Like, it doesn't make any sense. They're just coming to conclude. I don't know what's going on, but I'm dealing with people. Oh, he must be paid, even though I never was paid, and they have no evidence of me being paid. My computer, my mini PC died because of heat. How do you know that? Did you perform a forensic analysis to tell me exactly which part it was that failed and how it failed? Or did you perhaps have it in a place where it wasn't breathing properly, or did you spill something? Or did you get a power spike? You're not aware, and then they're victims now. Oh, I'll never buy that brand again. Well, good. I don't think they want you to buy their brand again if that's the way your brain works. Like, you don't know why that PC died. The dumbest thing. So anyway, it's nice when people ask questions. Hey, why do you think my PC died? Could it be from heat? That would be more refreshing for me to hear that, rather than somebody having no basis other than their imagination to supply a conclusion and an assumption that is completely, nearly 100% of the time, wrong. So if they don't like that, I don't care, because, that's more nonsense they can make up. So I don't need, when people are genuine and people want to learn, I love to help them. And I love to have them as part of this community. But when people want to demonize, and when people want to use their imagination and to replace it with reality as though they're the same, I could do without those people. Bye. And I'm so glad none of you here are like that. So thank you for that. PSC Computers Missouri with a $3 super chat. Thank you for that. And Nick Caffrey with €5 says, hey, Carey and Mara, late as usual. I love these mini PCs. The speed of power increase is extraordinary. Oh, you don't even know. You don't even know. They're exploring. Is exploring the right word? They're evolving these mini PCs, the technology with the competition with Intel and AMD. When we talk about single core performance, multi-core performance, lower power usage, less electricity consumption, more availability of ports, more I/O, smaller package, quieter, cheaper, faster. It just keeps getting better. And just when you think it's as great as you've ever seen it, boom, here's a new model. Now, that's not universally true, right? They're still going to also introduce some new budget models. But even the budget models, holy cow, the impatience and demands that some people have for a $200 PC is so unreasonable, especially when you consider how many thousands of times better that is than the computer I paid nearly, in today's dollars, $3,300 or $3,400 for, that you're complaining about today for $200. You should be lucky to have it at that price. But if you're looking at what somebody else has, and it's not as good as what somebody else has, and now that makes you sad or it makes you feel inadequate, I'm going to give, this is a little tip from Uncle Carey. Getting close. All of your unhappiness is caused by comparison. And if you would stop comparing things, you'd never be unhappy again. Philosophically, I don't know how to actually implement that in everyday life, but I want you to be aware. You control that. You control how you react. All right, so I think you're going to react pretty positively to this, though. And if you compare it to what you're using now, I just don't want you to be sad. I want you to know this is in your grasp if you want one. I mean, we've got links to discount codes to Geekom all over the world. Amazon, wait a minute, USA, UK, Australia. And I think you can get these on Amazon, and Amazon has a layaway plan, so you can afford this. You can afford it if you want it. But we haven't gotten to why you might want this, so let's talk about it. Metal case, aluminum case, plastic bottom, USB 3.2. The new Dell XPS 15 from last year and the XPS 16 from this year. The Dell XPS has the RAM soldered in. It's a $3,000 laptop, by the way. RAM is soldered in on the Dell. You'll never be able to upgrade it. You get 3 USB Type-C ports, no Type A, no HDMI, no Ethernet. That's it on the entire laptop, 3 USB Type-C, and one of those is used for charging. So you're left with 2, and you get a little breakout dongle to break out 1 USB Type-C to a Type A and to an HDMI off a dongle, and then you're left with 1 more USB Type-C. So when I plug an external keyboard into my Dell, and I plug the Dell into the projector, and I plug power into it, I have 1 USB-C left. So now I want to plug a flash drive in. I need another dongle to convert that. That's a $3,000 laptop. This ain't anywhere near that. I got my 2 USB 3.2s up front, if it's going to focus, with an audio port here, so for headphones, speakers, or headset. Power button. Ventilation. Look at, not a small micro SD card reader or a trans flash, same thing, but a full-size SD card reader. So if you're a photographer, if you deal with video and you're transferring your files, if you use micro SD, it's super easy to get a little adapter, but it doesn't work the other way around. So when you see a lot of these mini PCs coming with the micro SD card reader, that's useless for me and most people. I mean, unless you're using a GoPro, because those will record your video onto micro SD. But even with a GoPro, I can slide the micro SD into a regular SD adapter. They're practically free. It's right there. And if you don't use it, it's fine. Let's take a look at the back, because this is where it gets special. First of all, notice how thin this is. We got a barrel style power connector here. We have 2 HDMI ports, one here, one here. We have a USB Type-C, USB 4 Type-C. That's 40 gigabits per second. That also works as a display out, and the same over here. All right, if you plug something in that was really fast and wanted to transfer 5 gigs of data, you'd blink your eyes. I mean, it's just like, pff, it's there. But also these work as display outs. That means you can hook up 4 monitors at the same time, running them at 4K. And because we're running one of the latest processor on here, the integrated GPU is even better at gaming than pretty much any generation before it. Now, 1080p gaming, super easy. Even AAA titles under regular 1080 settings, very playable. Cyberpunk, if you're at 1080 on Cyberpunk, it's playable, but that's a tough game, for an integrated graphics chip to play it. But if you keep it at 1080, but turn the graphic detail down from medium or to low, every time you turn that down, your speed goes up significantly. So if you want performance over the graphic detail, these are really ideal. Or if you're playing older games, League of Legends, stuff like that, esports games, it's nothing to this. You want to do video editing on it? It'll do that too. Photo editing, no problem. Video rendering, it depends. Depends on how complex your video render project is. It'll do it. Any PC will do it, just how long you're going to wait. Anyway, going back around, we're not done yet. I haven't even finished with all these freaking ports. We have another USB super speed 10 gig per second, USB 3.2. And then it looks like a USB 2 right here. So you could I'd plug a keyboard or mouse into the slow ports. I hate to waste a USB 3. I hate it when computers only come with USB 3 and I have to waste one for a keyboard and a mouse. But that's just me. So you're getting an idea how little this is, right? Wait till I turn it on and you don't hear it. Let's go back to the box. So here's a thank you card that comes with, I think that's so classy. Get a little envelope. Thank you for your support. Let me bring this up to the camera and show you the detail and professionalism of how this product is packaged and sold. Inside, we have this card. If I can get the camera to focus, hold on. Once I get it lined up, I'll hold it still. I encourage you to contact them if you have any problems and to follow them on social. Founded in 2003. This company's been around a while. Back over to the box. See what we got in here. We have a power adapter that doesn't just plug into the wall. That really bugs me when they do that. It's more like the kind of power adapter you get with a laptop, right? Because that, to me, is way better. This power adapter, it doesn't say Geekom on it, so I'll probably get a little silver Sharpie and write Geekom or use my label maker, because these barrel connectors can fit in a lot of different devices, and if it ain't in the right one, you could permanently kill the device and the power adapter. So this one, for example, is DC out 19 volt, 6.32 amps. That's actually a stick. Losing my voice is dry. My throat's dry. All the NUCs, Intel NUCs, usually use 19 volts, 6.5 amps. I think nearly all of the NUCs in this form factor. Now, Intel does make the bigger NUCs, and those, of course, they designed to have video cards put in them, and they have their own power supplies internal, like a desktop, and they're still big machines. But the NUC where it started to get confusing was every generation seemed like they started making it bigger and bigger and bigger. What do we have here? Oh, we have an HDMI cable, and we have some instructions. It looks like this. All right. This kind of points out what all your ports are, a little about the RAM. And bear in mind with these USB 4 type C ports that we have here, if you're really wanting to play games at much higher resolutions, just get an external GPU enclosure. That is a high bandwidth USB Type-C, USB 4, 40 gigabits per second. Now, there's almost no such thing as a external graphics card enclosure that is going to give you the full performance of that graphics card if you were to put it into a desktop. Just so you know, you will lose performance by hooking it up to Thunderbolt or USB 4 or Oculink. You're just not going to get 100% performance. Not yet. They're still working on it, but you could get just a lot better performance than the iGPU if that's important to you. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it as much as I have to get it through people's heads. Gaming has become an expensive luxury. So the fact that you can do it at no additional cost under moderate settings, very acceptable. I mean, when 1080 is not a good enough, but you're like, this isn't 4K and 250 frames per second. That's like somebody complaining that this mustard is not Grey Poupon. And if you can afford it, right? And the rest of us are like, what are you talking about? Mustard's mustard. All right. I'm sure Mara's going to be like, no, it isn't. All right. So we all have these different things we're passionate about. And there's always ways around it. And I don't mean to suggest that this mini PC is universally good for everybody, any more than I would say this one menu item will be enjoyed by everybody who orders it. But I do think most people would like this and want it. All right, so let's plug it in, turn it on. I've already done the updates on it. This was in a little plastic bag to protect it. So you know when I've pre-opened something prior to the show, I've decided that it's taken too long to do all the Windows updates and everything. This does have Windows 11 Pro on it, so keep that in mind too. Other manufacturers like Minisform are just strictly Windows 11 Home. I don't even know why anybody cares. It's not like the old days where the Pro and the Home version gave you more usability. Pro is still pretty much for home lab users or business users that need to sign into servers. But some people don't listen. They don't care. They want it because emotionally they want it. And of course, you can always upgrade it, but that's going to cost you extra. However, this, as a reminder, already has Windows 11 Pro on it for the people that are mind locked into that. I've asked people, why do you need it? What are you going to do with it once you have it? And I don't believe one soul has told me they need it for VMware virtualization, or they need it for BitLocker, or they need it to log into a server, or they need it for RDP. There's third-party apps for all that stuff anyway. So they just want it because they just think the Pro is better. So I want the better one. Why? Just because I want it, Carey. Oh, I thought there was a logical reason. No one said there was a logical reason. It's an emotional reason. All right, well, this already has it for those of you with that emotional need. So you don't have to worry about getting Windows 11 Home that you would never know you even had until you went and you looked at it. It's not like the usability changes at all for the vast majority of owners. I have Windows 11 Home on my machine. You know what difference it makes? Zero. No worse performance. I don't use RDP. I use Instant House Call. I don't use virtual machines. If I do, I'll use VMware. I don't use BitLocker because that's just a way to lock yourself out of the computer. What else did I say it can do? Stuff I don't do. Most of you don't do it either. Nick Poverman said this is going to be a little beast. Oh, you just wait. You just wait. Wait till you see what this does. I'm so excited. Can you tell? I've been wanting to review this. You know, it kind of killed me when they did the Chinese New Year and they take a break for about 2 weeks. They're like, please don't review that during our Chinese New Year because we're all going to be on vacation. And we don't want to upset people that try to reach us and get no response, or want to order and we don't ship until we get back. I was like, it's a reasonable request and I'm more than happy to honor that. But really been looking forward to this. Okay, check this out. Now, if you go back and you look at the IT12 and the IT11, those are also very impressive machines. But this is even better. All right, let me just show you You can decide. You decide for yourself what you think. I'd be curious if you have any concerns or things that I've overlooked or missed. So let's go over to my HDMI input, and I'm going to put myself, as usual, up in a corner here. Right about there. And we'll turn the power on. Do you hear anything? Did it turn on? Is there a light? I can't tell if it's on. I'll just give it a minute and see if I see anything on the screen. Oh, you're telling me I have to plug the HDMI cable in? I forgot to do that? Man, I just ruined a rocket launch here. Darn it. All right, I can plug it into either USB port, so I think I'll just keep all my cables together. Ugh, such an idiot sometimes. Well, duh, the desktop's already loaded. So these are live unscripted videos, if you couldn't tell. So we're going to do that all over again because I'm an idiot. We're going to go over here. Oh, I can hear a bit of the fan now. Not bad. We're going to shut it down. Shut that. Shut it down. Like, I'm still booting up. No, you're not. You're done. But there was an update I was grabbing. Don't care. Shut down. Yeah. Computers don't like it when you do that. Good. I was just waking up and you're putting me back to sleep. Okay, we're completely off. I'm going to reach over again. 3, 2, 1, launch. You can look at your clocks on, look at the timer on the bottom of the screen to make a determination of how long this takes to boot. Compare it with your computer at home. Compare it with your laptop. Compare it, whatever. See how it compares. Now, look at this. Let's finish setting up your PC. Yeah, let's finish it. Continue. Skip. Not now. Skip. All right. We didn't quite make it to the desktop without that root interruption, did we? Look here. We've got the AMD Adrenalin driver installed. Let's see what version that is real quick. Now, I would have updated this, but let's see if there's a new update. 2411, 2421. Look at that. Just in the 2 weeks that I've since updated it, there's another update. What a shocker. And while we're doing that update, let's see if we got any new Windows updates. We'll just get all those out of the way. Ooh, that's a big update. Finally, let's look, while it's doing all that, let's go into the system properties. Oh yeah, we're missing. Yeah, 2 weeks without updates. You know, this is not a toaster. You've got to keep these things updated. So how is this equipped, right? So, okay, we're looking at how it's performing, but why is it performing like this? So what we've got here is an AMD Ryzen 9. Ryzen 9. It's a 7940HS. It's got the Radeon 780M built-in integrated GPU or iGPU. It has 32 gigs of RAM that you can take out and upgrade it to 64 if you want. It's not soldered down. It is not soldered down. We've got Windows 11 Pro installed, version 23H2. And this is a brand new model of computer, and that is the very first time I've ever received, I think it's the first time I've received a computer with 23H2 on it, because it's brand new. It's just fresh from the factory as a new model. And if we go into the device manager, let's close this out. Oh, no, wait a minute. Before I go into device manager, let's take a look at the C drive. On the C drive, it's a 2 terabyte drive. And we're dealing with Micron memory, and we're dealing with an Acer 2 terabyte drive. I thought they were using Lexar. I'm a little confused. I might need to open that up and check. But nonetheless, I've already done the speed test on it. And you're looking at just under 5,000 megabytes per second on your sequential reads and writes. Well, Gen 4 should reach up to 7,300. You will have to spend more money for higher performance. This machine can do that. It absolutely can benefit, but it will also run hotter. So you gotta, this is a balance for price, for keeping things quieter and keeping temps under control. These Gen 4 NVMe drives are strange because they tend to not run well when they're cold, and they don't run well when they're too hot. But it's like a car engine. You know, once your car engine gets up to temperature, you don't want it to get hotter. They're not much hotter. It just runs so much better, more efficiently when it's running at its temperature. And Gen 4 and Gen 5 drives, they like heat. But then there's always a point where it becomes too much heat. Oystein, our friend in Norway with 100 Norwegian kroner contribution, says, what kind of solid state drive is it? And it has 23H2. It looks like I'm one ahead of you. Now, we're going to open it up. We're going to look at it just to verify that what we're seeing on the screen is accurate. And it looks like our Windows updates have finished, but our AMD Adrenalin driver is still at what, 62%? And my video may be covering that. So let me take that video out so you guys can see what's going on up in that corner. So right now, I'm going to wait until that download hits 100% because I don't want to start over after the reboot. But I'm not going to install it. I'll let it download. Then we'll restart. On the restart, we'll update Adrenalin. And then you'll get an idea of how long these updates take to install. You know, I've got machines that are, you know, $2,000, $3,000 that don't install the updates any faster than this is. So sometimes the update itself is what's causing the slowness. It runs at a certain level, and I don't know why Microsoft does that. And it's almost like the performance of the computer makes almost 0% of difference. And of course, keep in mind, I have a very slow internet connection. It's only 30 megabit, so that's only about 3 megabytes down. It's pretty painful. So once it has it, though, it should process it pretty quickly. So just looking up in that top corner, did we get it? Yeah, it says install. So rather than install that, we'll just go ahead and restart now. And then upon restart, we'll let these updates apply, right? And then we'll do the Adrenalin update next. I don't want to layer updates without a restart in between, because if there's a problem, I don't know which one will have caused it, or if layering them caused it. Now, once again, you're going to see boot up time with Windows updates happening. So we're not running a pure, well, maybe we are. No, there it goes. That wasn't too bad, though. The blink of an eye, you looked away for a second, you would have missed it. But that normally doesn't happen, right? That's just whenever updates, which these days feel like every other day anyway. That's not the machine's fault. All right, so let me go back now to the Adrenalin software. And if you have an AMD-based computer with an integrated graphics card, you should be running this Adrenalin software. So we're going to hit install. Okay, and we'll let that do its thing here. And if you don't have, so if you're running AMD's integrated graphics or AMD's discrete graphics, you want this Adrenalin driver. It's going to bring out the power, performance, and also reliability, security, and it's free. It's pretty big. You'll see this is time remaining there. I think it's going to take about 2.5 minutes. But then once it's done, it should be good, at least until the next update. So it could be 2 weeks or 3 months. Who knows? AMD's and NVIDIA and Microsoft with their updates, they're not so regular. Andy says he updated his AMD Adrenalin software just today. Yeah, so that may be a pretty recent update that we're doing. Somebody here in the chat says they wanted to stop by. I say thank you for your reviews. I've recently been using the Geekom IT13, which we never reviewed that one here, did we? He says he's really happy with it thus far. Again, thank you. Kainer says Windows 11 Pro sounds cooler. James wants to know if it comes with a copy of Windows 11 Pro. I think I've answered all these already, so. Okay. We'll hit finish. Sometimes they want to reboot after this. Maybe not. And then I like to get rid of any hazardous triangle here. They want me to sign in. No. Thank you, Microsoft. No, thank you. Okay. Now, Geekom has demonstrated opening up a browser with 100 tabs open with the Geekom A7, and it doesn't slow it down at all. It scrolls smoothly, and having all the 100 tabs open has no impact on its performance. None that, you know, at least as a human being, it's going to be much, much more responsive than you are. So as far as you're concerned, when you do that, if you try that, it's no different to the human experience than if you had just one tab open. That's some pretty impressive power. So let me go back over to, we can put camera one back in the corner. Hey, there I am. And I think the next thing I'm going to do is open this up and show you how it's built, how you get into it. Now, we're not going to fully disassemble it because there's no reason to get to the CPU side, which in this case is on top. We do have ventilation back here. We want to get to the underside of it where the RAM and the storage are. And I think you're going to be impressed at what they've done because it's something you have to see to appreciate. Now, I have a fairly new overhead camera setup here that we're going to try for the first time today. So bear with me for just 1 second because I have not configured it. Don't mind me. Don't mind the production work being done live on the camera. It's like operating out of a garage here. Skunk works over here. All right, we'll put that HDMI plug in there for the close-up camera. And then, oh, it's still out of camera shot. That's cool. That's at a low setting so I can reach it, with the idea being that I can turn the camera on, right? Check this out. I can turn the camera on. And, well, I'll tell you what. Let's just take a look if I can center it, and then I can raise this close-up camera way higher than my old one so everything doesn't feel so claustrophobic. This should be a nice upgrade for the studio. I hope it works like I think it's going to. Let's go to close-up camera, and let's turn off camera one, desktop. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, so much better. So, perfect. And actually, if I want to bring it closer to me, and I can pull the camera this way, can I? So that's all my cables and wires, right? Oh, this is so much better of a setup. Okay. So I'm going to turn this off. So temporarily, let's go back to the HDMI input, and let's shut her down. Okay. I want to see that rainbow of no signal appear. That's how I know when it's off. It's off. Now, I want to unplug everything before we open this up, including my keyboard and mouse dongle. And I still think I want to make a little fine-tuning adjustment since I've never used this camera before. It looks like I have the ability to So I'm misunderstanding how this works. Wouldn't be the first time. Move it that way. Move it a little bit closer to me, which then, of course, puts the camera on an angle. But then I straighten that over here. Loosen this, turn. And we can zoom in. Oh, yes. So much better. Okay, check this out. Now, this is all seamless. You see any seams on it? Clearly, there's a difference of material, plastic to metal. Where do you think the screws are going to be? Probably right underneath these rubber feet. You get these rubber feet up. Sometimes you need to be smarter than the rubber foot. Got a little flat edge screwdriver. It'd help me dig underneath that. I'm not a fan of putting screws underneath rubber feet. And they're just, so these rubber feet, at least they're not just glued on. They have some sticky material. This camera's not focusing. And we have little plastic tabs that go into slots. So the sticky material is just there to help keep it tight onto the bottom of the PC. Maybe if I just set it down there, you might see it better. So clearly it would help if I took these off this way, side to side. And that should, nope, don't put the screwdriver in too deep. There we go. And then that just pops up. So yeah, go in from the side. You can use a guitar pick, or you can use a spudging tool if you have one. And that makes the job so much easier. And nothing's tearing. These are, see, my concern is over time that this rubber will get dry and it might tear. There we go. All right. 4 rubber feet removed. And now we can see the screws. And I will, after the show, I'm going to have to check this camera's autofocus settings because it seems like I might have locked it in so it would stop focusing on my hand. But I might have just caused a side effect there. So I might be, I can't win. I put it on autofocus. Then it keeps changing every time I put my hand in the screen. And if I lock it in, then when I start to bring something closer to the camera so you can see it, it's not locking in on it. What are you going to do? All right. Someone mentions they wish they'd be toolless. How often do you think you're going to get in this? I don't see a Kensington lock on here. That's one of the first ones. Now that you mention toolless. No Kensington lock. I mean, I've never seen anybody actually use a Kensington lock on a mini PC, but I just realized it didn't have that. You can just tell how upset I am by it. Okay, 4 screws. Now, they don't give us any pull tab, but you can kind of reach up. Be careful, the antenna for the Wi-Fi is attached to this. So be careful. Don't yank on that too hard. That's your Wi-Fi antenna with this thin cable. Now, you might be looking at that going, well, geez, Carey, where's the RAM and storage? Oh, you're going to like this. Notice there's a rubber pad here. What do you suppose that's for? That is likely there as a sound dampener to prevent items from vibrating. That's a nice touch. They didn't have to put that on there. And if you take out these 4 screws, what do you think this is right here? Anybody want to guess what that is? This tells you there's an arrow. It says to the front. So when you're putting this back on, you know which way it goes back. 4 screws, not difficult. Okay, do you know what this is? This is for a 2.5-inch drive? No, that is wrong. There's no room for a 2.5-inch drive in here. However, what they do have, something's holding it. Uh-oh, is it this wire? I don't want to break my Wi-Fi wire. Yeah. See, look, I popped my Wi-Fi wire off, but don't worry, it just snaps back on. I didn't break the wire. This is a heat sink, ladies and gentlemen. This is for cooling your NVMe, and this is for cooling your RAM. That's all this is. It's a giant, well, I say giant, but it's thin, heat sink, and that's its whole purpose. Some mini PC manufacturers just throw the bottom on there, and you don't have proper cooling for this stuff. And as you can see, in this case, we have an Acer branded NVMe, but I believe they're using Lexar. Remember, this is a pre-production model, and I always warn you guys that these pre-production models may vary compared to what ends up being manufactured and shipped. Crucial branded memory. This is DDR5 memory, and we've got two 16 gig DDR5 modules. We can replace those with two 32s. We could put two 48s in here and get 96 gigs out of this. Underneath our NVMe drive, which is super easy to get to, we have our Wi-Fi controller. Now, Wi-Fi 7 is out, but I don't believe Wi-Fi 7 got certified until after this whole design was done. So I don't know what this Wi-Fi is, but I bet it's 6E. It probably tells me somewhere. We've got a model number, AWXB. You know what? I can just turn it right back on and check. So on the Wi-Fi adapter, there's one antenna right there. And this black antenna, there's always two antennas on a Wi-Fi card. There's a little plastic cover on this that has to come up. And the whole point of this little plastic piece is to keep those antennas from popping off. You can see what a great job that did. And these are super, super tiny and delicate. So when you put these back on, it's like buttoning a shirt. Remember when shirts used to have not the slotted buttons, but the snapping buttons? This is a snapping button, but it's just the smallest one you've ever seen in your life. And it goes on perfectly onto that available piece. If you've ever worked with these, they're always the same. There's nothing new, nothing to see here. It's always the same. And you might need a little bit of tweezers, or in my case, I need my 3x magnification glasses so as I can seize. Because this is tiny work, super tiny. And one side of this, and this is going to be super hard to shoot this. Let's try something here, see how well. That's all the way zoomed in. So one side of this is flat, that's the top, and one side of this is hollow. Got to look really carefully to see which side's the bottom. And it has a little tiny pin. And you can pull up images online to see what these look like close up, because my camera's not designed for that kind of microscopic macro type work. And it's going to sit, place it right over this position right here. And when you line it up just right, and again, I'm going to use to push that down with. Line it up. Probably shouldn't use something metal for this. Maybe a plastic spudging tool would be a little more gentle. But when have I been gentle? I mean, why start now? Typically, when it's on there, you'll hear it sometimes or you'll feel it. And then if I just lightly tug on it, I can see that's on. Now I can put this little plastic piece back over it to help stay Stay Wi-Fi antenna. Okay. I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty damn cool. So we have access to the Wi-Fi card. We have access to one NVMe. You can't put a second NVMe in here. You cannot add a 2.5-inch drive. It's too thin. You can tell by looking at how thin it is that you ain't going to be putting a 2.5-inch drive in it, and you're just adding heat to it anyway. But with that USB Type-C on the back and the USB 3.2 on the front, you can add external SSDs, external storage to it, and get super fast speeds anyway. You know, easily 1,000 megabytes per second, which is a fifth of what this included drive can do, right? Am I holding that the right way? Is that upside down? Yeah, you guys are looking at it the way I'm looking at it. Remember, because I rotated this. I turned the screen 180 degrees so you can see it from my perspective. If you were actually on the other side of the table, this would be down, not up. This would be over here. Perspectives. And then there's our little power supply. Okay, let me take a quick look in the chat. Let's throw camera one there real quick. See what we got going on here. Oh, these are my 3X glasses. Holy cow. Ooh. Yeah, that's not good. Those are only good for a little detail work. Everything else is blurry and in my face. Oystein confirms it says Wi-Fi 6E. Wireless is included on this. That's what I thought it should be. And it's Bluetooth 5.2. Thank you for looking that up, Oystein. No, Nick Poverman also said it as well. No, both of you, Oystein, Nick Poverman, thank you for verifying that for me while I'm live. Construction says mini PC perfect. I think power people will need cooling. You will not need cooling with this. If you hammer on this, it might reach the mid 70s. It won't go higher than the mid 70s. You got plenty of headroom left over. See, you're making assumptions that are completely wrong. You are very, very wrong. People just do that. They go, well, something like that, clearly it's going to have heat issues. No, it doesn't. Oh, then it'll be loud. No, it isn't. Well, you'll be able to hear it. Yeah, you will, but it's not bad. I mean, not bad at all. And it's using less power than a desktop of an equivalent configuration. Nick Poverman looked up the NVMe drive. He says it's cheap. You better hope it's cheap. Because if they want to put in a high-performance drive and high-performance RAM and a lot of it, that price is going to go up. And then you guys are going to say it's too expensive. And not everybody cares, right? So we have a few enthusiasts that say, well, that NVMe is cheap and I can get one that's faster. But you're not thinking like the average buyer. You are not an average buyer. But at least they made it possible for you, the few that will do that, the few that care, to easily get in here and change it out if it's not good enough for you. And I appreciate that. I think that's wonderful. We want to accommodate to the masses. That's who this is always designed for. The masses of a certain buyer, your typical buyer in this price range. We are not doing an enthusiast build. We are not doing some excessive $3,000 machine with over-the-top everything that, you know, there's a reason why you don't see Ferraris everywhere. So the average person can't afford it, and even if they could, wouldn't want it. They like looking at it. They like it if it's somebody else's. So the idea here is, since they don't know you and they didn't build this for you, what they did is they said, okay, for this price range, for the average buyer and average needs, These would be the average components, better than average, really. And then if that's not good enough, because for some people nothing's ever good enough, we'll make it possible for them to max it out. But those people are so few and far between, they would be doing the vast majority of people a disservice. Not to mention the company themselves wouldn't sell as many units by doing that for people who would only look at the price and say that's out of my league. So there's got to be balance somewhere. Right? I think you'll agree there has to be balance. Now, if they said we made this specifically for Nick Poverman, I see where your argument would come from. Nick Poverman says, I went to the eye doctor on Saturday. Now I need progressives. You are 3 years behind me. Get ready. They tried to fit me with progressives, and I can't stand them. I never had to wear glasses in my life. And progressive was like, you got to look here for this and here for that. No, give me different pairs. And the idea was I don't need distance. I'm fine. There could be a slight improvement on distance, but it's optional. It's not. It's just like you could make it a little better. So that's how they sold me on these progressives. They're like, so the top is going to be your distance, the middle is going to be your computer screen, and the bottom is going to be your reading. And of course, I could never find where the delineation was between one to the other. And it drove me nuts. I'm like, damn it. Give me a set for driving. Give me a set for the computer. Give me a set for reading. Then I realized the ones for driving only get in the way. So I don't use those anymore. I'm much better driver with my regular distance vision the way it is. You know, my brain is just compensating for that. And it's so close anyway, one could argue, if you talk to one ophthalmologist or optometrist, one might say yes if you want to, and one might say no, I wouldn't recommend it. So really, those were very expensive glasses, those progressives, and I'll never wear them again. Never again. You can thank Benjamin Franklin, if you didn't know, for the invention of the bifocal. I will not wear bifocals. Right now, it's just things that are small, smaller fonts, things that are dark. A dark restaurant with a small font receipt, I need to break the glasses out. Or I can take a picture with my phone and then just pinch the image larger and cheat. Then I don't need the glasses at all. But I was talking about with Mitch, and he's like, why don't you just wear them around your neck? I'm like, nope. He goes, you could get those ones, you know, that magnetically split in half. It's so cool. I go, nope. When I go live in the 55 or older community, I'll consider it. That makes me feel old. So look, dealing with a lot of stubbornism here. But no, it's primarily reading. That's my struggle. Looking at the computer screen, I have glasses for that. And it does make the computer screen much clearer for me. And that can cause some eye strain if I stubbornly insist on not using them. You'll see I sometimes will read the screen over here with or without glasses. And sometimes my eyes are better one day than they are another. And also my mood, right? So overall, I don't use reading glasses on camera. What I'm using are my computer glasses, these here. And they have a slight magnification, but not like my, like if I want to sit down and read a book, those are a little more magnified. But anyway, needless to say, I don't even need a prescription for those. I could go buy some off the shelf. They convinced me that prescription ones would be better for me. I don't know. Are they? I can't tell the difference. If I grab a pair off of a store-bought reading glasses and compare them to these, they seem like 6 of one and half dozen of the other to me. But, you know, there's an old expression, don't ask the barber if you need a haircut. Of course, they're going to tell you their glasses are better. Of course, the barber's going to tell you you need a haircut. William Romero says, so this replaces a desktop and not a laptop. I suppose it could do either one, right? Because what's really cool about this is you could hook it into a portable monitor as long as you brought your own keyboard and mouse. You'd effectively have your laptop, right? But you are going to have to power it. A laptop's going to have a battery, a screen, speakers. It's going to have a keyboard, a trackpad, or some kind of pointing device. And did I say battery? All built into it. You're going to pay extra for that screen. You're going to pay extra for the battery. You're going to pay extra for the speakers. You're going to pay extra for the keyboard and the mouse. So the laptop at this price would not be this powerful. A laptop this powerful will easily be over $1,000, probably over $1,200 would be my guess at this level. Planet Cryos with a $2 super chat. Check my comment to you, he says. Okay. Scrolling. I don't see any comments. Hold on. Maybe I'm scrolling too fast. By the way, it's way easier if someone would just repeat themselves than force me or ask me to go digging through thousands of comments to try and find something they said earlier. If all the effort you took to write, can you see my comment again, you simply repasted your comment, copy and paste it, we'd already be done. Planet Crash says, looks like there are solder points for a second M.2 right in the middle. Yeah, you know, now that you mention it, I do see that. And what he's referring to is right here. Hit that keyboard. What he's referring to is right here. This does look like it's a space, potentially could be for a second M.2. And then there's a hole right there. I don't know what these brass points are for, other than maybe that's holding on something on the other side. And then, of course, these points, these little hex nuts that we see in the corners, that's holding the heatsink on. And then the heatsink holds the lid on. But yeah, it does appear, but I don't think we have enough room. So if we pretended that there was another one here, let me show you something. Like Fire Marshal Bill. Let me show you something. So let's pretend they had one there. I think I could foresee a problem with that. Couldn't you? Because the connector's kind of going to sit inside of the track like that. That no fit. No fit. So maybe they could have made it for like let's say it was that hole there, but that's not centered to this, is it? Maybe it is. Maybe that could be a 2242, like a smaller. Like if we put that there, right, assuming that that was a potential, your NVMe would have to be about that big. So again, I wouldn't try and put all that storage in these mini PCs. I don't care which mini PC it is. I think you should consider using external SSDs. The SanDisk external SSDs, the Move Speed external SSDs, the Western Digital external SSDs, the Seagate external SSDs, they're all, wait, does Seagate have any? They're all super fast, you know, easily 1,000 megabytes per second transfer. So, I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's still twice as fast as an internal SATA drive. An internal SATA SSD is only 550. So externally at 1,000, come on. And if they come out with some USB 4 external SSDs at 40 gigabits per second, ooh-wee. We should be seeing 4,000 megabytes per second. That's damn near the speed of this internal NVMe. And they're coming. They are coming. But Geekom doesn't make that stuff. That's made by the drive manufacturers. And that 3.2 Gen 2 stuff I've been telling you about, just ignore that. That's pretty much already been abandoned. That was a Band-Aid between USB 3.2 and USB 4 and Thunderbolt 4. And it was a Band-Aid that was cheap to apply. And then manufacturers of SSDs jumped on board. But the manufacturers of the motherboards maybe only threw one port that's 3.2 Gen 2 by 2. Remember how much trouble I've been having trying to find a machine that has that? Some of the ASRock boards, I have it only on the USB 3.1 external motherboard header to go onto your case. So if your case doesn't have a USB Type-C port on it, you don't get USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2. It's so limited and so hard to find. Those will run at 2,000 megabytes per second with USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2. A lot of people have USB 3.2 Gen 2. That's nothing. That's fine. That's common. You're going to get 1,000 megabytes per second with that. With 3 USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, it doubles it, right? Times 2. You're going to get it 2,000, but they're hard to find. Very few manufacturers implemented them. But a lot of SSD manufacturers implemented it. So it's like there's a bunch of external SSD drives that you can buy that'll say 2,000 megabytes per second. If it says that, you're looking at USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 to get those speeds, but it's backwards compatible. You likely are not going to get 2,000 megabytes per second out of it, unless you did your homework and you know that you have that USB requirement, which most people don't. Now, if you start seeing something that says 3,000 megabytes per second external, that's usually dealing with Thunderbolt. And as we move into some higher end devices with Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4, the next step will be 4,000 megabytes per second on those external SSDs. So you can forget about the old-fashioned days of horseshoes and putting your drives in your machine. Come on and join me out of the past, join me in today. This is where it's going. And in 10 years from now, you're going to say, Carey was way ahead of his time. Maybe. Maybe. But it certainly appears that way to me. Based on the history and based on the progress we've been seeing, this is the way it's moving. So don't buy those USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2 drives unless you specifically know you can take advantage of it. Or it's cheap and on sale because they're trying to get rid of them because nobody's buying them. Is they're still going to do 1,000 megabytes a second, which is what the regular external USBs do on the higher end, but are cheaper. So why spend more and get the exact same performance? That's all I'm saying. I can't wait for some USB 4 SSDs, external SSDs, because that's, like I say, 4,000 megabytes per second. Oh, don't tease me. All right, I'm going to put this back together. This, if you're wondering, this is the SD card slot. Any other questions about the inside of this before I completely seal it back up? Too much caffeine today. No such thing. Don't over tighten. Just get it snug. All right, scroll. Ben Laird said it's not a parallel ATA drive then. No, yeah, you're going to be rocking maybe 200 megabytes, 120 megabytes. Sherry McFarland said, we're going to laugh and say, remember when computers were so big? Yeah, we're already starting to say that now. Frankie B showed his mom one of the B-Link mini PCs, and she couldn't believe that was actually a computer. She's like, that's not a computer. Like, come here, Mom, let me show you. This is a Gen 4 NVMe drive. John Clausen said his girlfriend wants him to build a gaming computer so she could play World of Warcraft. Any recommendations for hardware? Well, you can go to Goodwill and probably buy her something nice. World of Warcraft runs on hardware from 10 years ago, 15 years ago. How long has World of Warcraft been out now? It's a very non-demanding game by today's standards. So you could pretty much build whatever you want. Anything new. Let's see, when did World of Warcraft come out? 2004, 20 years ago. So what modern computer will run that game from 20 years ago today? All of them? You can't go wrong. If you're building anything new, it'll do that while it's in sleep mode practically. All right. I just want to see if there's any questions about the inside of this because I want to put this back together otherwise. So I'm just looking for related questions. Nick Poverman said his son runs World of Warcraft on a minis for a mini PC. Yeah, any mini PC should run. That's easy. Super easy. I like those questions. Elgania said, I returned my progressive glasses the next day. It's horrible having to turn your head from side to side to read a sentence rather than merely yawing your eyeballs. Yeah, not to mention everything gets distorted on your peripheral vision. And I'm big on my peripheral vision. I rely on it a lot. It's why I don't typically trip over stuff. I also like to be hyper aware of my surroundings. And you can thank all the bullying I went through in the 1980s that put me on alert. And I've never come off of alert. I'm always ready to fight. I'm always ready to defend myself. I'm always ready to check if somebody's following me. Like when I'm driving. I was driving the other day and a truck turned behind me, and then I turned again and the truck turned, and I thought, I wonder if they're following me. So I didn't want to go home. I didn't want them to see where I lived. So I randomly turned down a street that was in the residential neighborhood that I live in. They turned down the same street. So then I turned down the next street, just the first next street, and they did. And then the next street was a cul-de-sac. So I turned into the cul-de-sac, and they turned into the cul-de-sac. So then I turned around to come back out of the cul-de-sac, and they pulled into a driveway, and then I turned around and left. Was it just coincidence I was going where they were going? Or was it because I pulled into a cul-de-sac, they realized, I know that you're following me, and then they pretended? I don't know. I am hyper aware. I'm always aware of my surroundings. Nobody surprises me. I don't wear clothes or shoes that I can't fight in or run in or defend myself in. I can't tell you the last time I had to, but in the 80s, it was literal survival. Like, I am certain I would have been beaten to my death. It's not like a bully knows when to stop beating on you. So ever since then, I've always had to be prepared. I guess it's sort of like military training and PTSD. It stays, at least in my case, with you for your whole life. It's a long-term effect of bullying. It's not bad though, right? Nobody messes with me. Can't catch me unaware. If I'm at an ATM, I don't have to worry about people watching me and following me. What do they call those schemes? Jugging, that's what they call it. I had to look it up. I lost the word. Jugging is when you're being watched at an ATM. And believe me, if I'm with a friend at an ATM, I'm not looking over my friends. Like if my friend is using the ATM, I turn and face the other way. Because one, it's none of my business to see their balance or their PIN number. And two, I'm looking for people sitting in cars, people watching. That's just who I am and it's how I am. I wasn't born that way. It's just something that occurred to me after constantly being, smacked in the back of the head or, someone coming up behind and pushing me because they thought it was funny. So I'm aware. I'm listening, I'm watching, and I'm ready. Try it sometime, see what happens. All right, let's see. I just wanted to bide some time to give time for any questions. Why was I bullied in school? I was bullied because I was different. I'm short, I have a girl's name, I'm a different religion than the people I was around. I was raised Jewish and everybody around me was not Jewish. I had to go to Hebrew school after school. Everything about me was different, and people don't like it when you're different. They want you to be like them. Also, by being small and by having an androgynous name, that made me an easy target from kids my same age that were far bigger than me. When I played hockey, the jersey went all the way down to my knees. People would say, are you in the right class? What are you, 6, playing with the 9-year-olds? No, when I walked in, the best friend I made, we have to remove to Phoenix, because I've always dealt with it with a sense of humor to not take it personally and to deflect it back at people and try and win them over with laughter. A lot of comedians that were bullied or dealt with a lot of trauma, humor was their coping mechanism. So I was really, really funny when I was younger, super funny. I always had a line for everything, and usually could win over reasonable bullies. And it was nonstop. And the adults didn't do anything. The teachers didn't do anything. The bus driver didn't do anything. But when I first moved to Arizona and I went into seventh grade, and I walked in, and the class was already seated, and I was handing the teacher the paperwork. I guess I'm supposed to be here, I'm new. And some kid in the back goes, "Hey, fifth grade's down the hall." That kid became my best friend. So that's the kind of sense of humor I have. Like, I didn't cry and go, "Oh, you hurt my feelings." I thought it was hilarious. So that's different from bullying, where someone's physically beating up on you, right? And I didn't feel that I had anything other than to run, because I was skin and bones. My dad used to call me Bones because he could see my ribs all throughout until I was about 15. And then all that changed because I got very angry and filled with rage and decided to take it out at the gym. That built my self-confidence, and then I wanted to fight. I wasn't going to run anymore. And then for some magical reason, the bullies left me alone. I didn't say anything, just like the aura changed, and they knew to stay away. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced in my life. So anyway, I realize we're way off topic, and I don't know why the computer has gone to sleep. I usually, wait a minute. The computer didn't go off. My camera went off because it ran out of juice. You see this cable? This is just an HDMI cable. It's not a power cable. So we're running right now off of the battery, and I haven't charged that battery in a while. The good news is that with a second cable, a USB cable, we can give this camera power and I can turn it back on. Or we can just say, you know what, enough of that. And I kind of feel like we don't need to see me put it back together close up, do we? Kind of feel like you guys got enough of that, didn't you? So let me remove this here, and I'll charge that up later. I thought about it last night. I thought, I should charge that, and then I forgot. That's all right. Got us off the topic there. We're off topic. So let's try and get back on track here, guys. Nick Coverman said he was bullied because he was heavy as a kid and he was shy. Oh yeah, I was very shy. I still am. I can talk to crowds, but I can't talk to individuals. It's very strange. Let's see, scrolling. Slappy says paranoid or aware could be the difference between you make it or you don't. I don't like to think of it as paranoid. I just like to think that I'm aware. I don't think anybody's out to get me, but I'm not positive they're not. You never know. Let's see. Gary Tatum said, I was always too big for bullies. Yeah, must be nice. Must be nice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. I don't see any more questions about the unit. So we'll take the heat sink here, and this has a little rubber piece. That's for, let's see, the arrow says to the front. So this is the front. So where's that rubber piece going over? It's going over the power button. Oh, it's got an LED on the power button. And what this is doing is it's keeping the LED like a lampshade, shining that light out the front so it's brighter. That's a nice little touch. I like that. And then I have to reroute my little antenna wire, right? And then I got to put the tape back. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to put the tape back on it. But first, But first, let's put these little teeny tiny screws. Always use a magnetic screwdriver. You don't want to drop the screw inside of here and then have it slip down the side. Not that it would on this one, but on some mini PCs, there can be quite a gap between the edge of the circuit board and the case. So I kind of have developed a habit of always doing it the same, regardless. And you'll see, I'm not tightening these down overly tight. I bring them down, right? I'm turning these screws until they give me resistance. And as soon as they don't want to turn anymore without force, that's as far as you turn them. You don't force them at all. They're flush. But I don't want them loose because I don't want this plate to rattle, and I don't want the plate to not make contact with the NVMe drive. Otherwise, it's not supplying any purpose of drawing heat effectively. So I'm just going to double check these again. I'm just making an attempt to turn them with a reasonable amount of torque. That one moved just a little bit. Probably isn't going to make a difference in the world that I did that, but I just wanted to make sure none of them loosened up on me when I tightened the others. Then I have that little piece of tape right here. As I recall, that was somewhere like something like this, just holding that wired. So that wire wouldn't come out. You can see what a great job that did. Or maybe better to say what a great job I did. Then it says front, same arrow here. So we know we don't want to twist that wire up. We just set that gently on top. And then these 4 screws go right back in with the rubber feet going on top. I mean, that's reasonably easy. I mean, I would have preferred not having to take the rubber feet off, but I will find something to complain about or I'm not doing my job. And again, how often are you going to open this up? I don't understand why people would think it should open up easily. Why would you be opening it up more than 2 or 3 times in the entire ownership of the lifespan of this? I don't know. We all have our preferences. I don't think that's one that I can agree on with you regarding that. So let me just figure out. They bend these feet back, stick the little tabs in the holes. It should sit flush. Yeah, that one's in. That one's in. That one's in. If you don't get them in straight, they don't sit flat. And then when you go to turn this around, it'll wobble. But it's not. The counter's uneven. The feet are flat, just like it's supposed to be. And we'll power it back up just to make sure I didn't break anything. So back with power, back with HDMI, back with dongle for keyboard and mouse. Still on USB 3s. And then the Ethernet adapter is a 2.5 gig, just in case you were wondering. Turn that back on, LED lights up, and go back over to our HDMI input. And hopefully I didn't break it. And Ella Linda says no extra pieces. That's right. And let's see what else. Ah, right up beautifully. Beautifully. And just out of curiosity, let's see the make and model of the wireless and the Ethernet adapter, because I usually check that. And I would be remiss if I did not do that. Some people want to put Linux on it. They want to know if the hardware is Linux compatible. So depending on the flavor of Linux you prefer, I can't tell you whether or not it's compatible with your favorite, but I can show you and you can do the research if that matters to you. So under network adapters, we have a MediaTek. Oh, that's why I didn't recognize it. So that's a MediaTek Wi-Fi 6E, and Realtek is the gaming 2.5 gigabit Ethernet LAN connector. There we go. See that? I almost left that out. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The rest of the show is your questions. I'd like to keep the questions on topic to the product or to the subject of mini PCs. If you don't have a question in that regard, I would ask you to hold it until we do like an Ask Me Anything type of broadcast. Or if you're a member, save it for members only. You know, when we talk about things like anything that gets us off topic, it tends to go on for some time, and it might be interesting to you, but the rest of the viewers tune out. So out of respect for everybody else, I'll ask that we do try to keep these sessions on topic with the title of the video, just out of respect for each other's time. So the GVR mode is on. If you're just joining us, you can rewind this live video rather than ask us to repeat ourselves. This is why teachers don't like it when students show up tardy for class, because you will have missed everything the teacher instructed to the students, forcing all the students to have to listen to it again, because of the inconsideration of the student who couldn't be bothered to show up on time. So that student typically goes without. Here with YouTube, though, you have control of that. You can rewind the video if you're interested to see what you've missed, or you can wait until we're done and, of course, watch the video from the beginning. So price, that's a fair price, Andy. In fact, it's a great price. Great price. It's a great question that I didn't even talk about yet. So thank you for that. I can't believe I have not yet shown you their website. In the video notes below this video are links. So depending on what country you live in, the price is going to vary, okay? Amazon sells it. There are coupons that bring the price down. If you want to buy directly from Geekom, we have a coupon code. If you're going to buy this unit, the A7, in Australia, in the UK, in America, we have the coupon code. It's all in the video notes. And let me pull up my links. Let's see, USA Official. That's the one I would bring up. And Carey H, that's me, Carey H, and the model A7. That's your coupon code. That's going to take 20 bucks off the price here in the US. And then whatever, 20 pounds in the UK. But let me bring up Geekom's website here. Tell OBS to capture that for me. There it is. Okay, so you'll see here $764, right? Showing a discount from $849. But let's see, this is the Ryzen 7000. Doesn't tell us which model. Oh, here it is. $10 off. Okay. So this has a 2 terabyte. We're not using the 2 terabyte. We're using this one right here. All right, just for comparison. So you're looking at $699. And then I think with the discounts, you're going to be about $650. I think. Let me take a look at the Amazon page. $650 sounds right to me. Let me just confirm. I don't like assuming. Let's confirm that. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So this is 512 with a 5800. That's a totally different machine. It looks like they only have the 2 terabyte version at $764. Of course, my coupon code won't work here. Is there another coupon or anything? The 2 terabyte drive is going to cost more. This says it's supporting 8K. I know it does 4K through 4 monitors at the same time. I think the 8K is restricted to 2 of the ports, I think. I've never seen 8K in my life, so I don't really know much about it, to be honest. But this says it's 10% off. for a limited time. Geekom for that same model once, just to compare, same price. Okay. And they say that's a sale with the clock running. But to go back to the 1 terabyte version, $699, free shipping. Available on back order. Are these in stock or on back order? I don't know. They take your credit cards, they take PayPal. PayPal offers 6 months, 0 interest. I want to say it's about $650. Sounds right, after the discounts. Talking about the US. So, yeah, thank you for that question. Okay. Weinstein said $679 with your $20 discount, but you did see the $10 off your first order. So I think you could combine those. So you'd be at $669. And I think there was another little discount in there. It's within $10, I'm pretty sure, of $649. William Romero says, where do you recommend we buy these? And do you have a discount code? So the resources I've just shared with you and the discount code I've just shared with you, that's where I recommend you buy them, whichever is your preference. If you prefer Amazon, if you prefer to buy direct from the manufacturer, Amazon has some limited availability of that particular model. With Geekom, when you buy directly from the manufacturer, there's no Amazon commission. So quite often buying directly from the manufacturer is cheaper. But Amazon has super easy returns. This manufacturer should also have super easy returns, but I've never bought anything from them or had to return anything from them. I've bought a lot of stuff from Amazon and returned a lot of stuff to Amazon, and it's never been a problem. So it's really just a personal preference. They're both safe and secure, reliable, and reputable. And it's quiet. I don't hear it at all right now. Now, when you do press it, of course, you're going to hear the fan, but it's very, very reasonable. It's not like it's going to make you have to talk over it really loudly because of the fan. It doesn't get that loud. But I appreciate the questions, guys. I'm just looking back and see if there were any other related questions I can answer. Otherwise, I think we're going to be done for the day. I love that now that I reviewed this, I get to use it. I've had to keep it precious in the box so we can have a pure and real, genuine, authentic experience to discover it together. I didn't know what it looked like on the inside. I've never taken it apart. So I knew what to expect, but I'd never actually done it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have pulled the Wi-Fi wire off. I think that speaks for itself. But yeah, look how thin this is. What can I use to compare it to? A Gatorade bottle? Doesn't quite go up to the G. No, it's not even there. It's down where the flavor is. See where it lists the flavor down here? Hold on a second. I'm sure they give the measurements, but I just want to see. Do you think 25 feet is long enough to measure this? We've got, I guess I need to measure from the desk. in 1 inch and 3/4. Remember, we're Americans, so we're on the imperial system here. 1 inch and 3/4 tall, 4.5 inches wide, 4.5 inches. So 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches by 1 inch and 3/4. It's pretty small. Pretty tiny. For all that power, without noise, how'd they do that? How'd they do that? Dustin says, great stream as always. William says, AMD versus Intel, which is more powerful? Chicken versus steak, which tastes more flavorful? There's no answer to your question that is objectively correct. It is all subjective based on the values of the person, individual, and how they value money, reliability, performance in what use case scenario, in what environment. Oh, there's just too many. You know, what's better, a Kit Kat or a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup? You can't answer that question. You can ask it. What's better, your left foot or your right foot? Is your left shoe better than your right shoe? Is Nike better than Reebok? They still make those brands. Is Hoka better than Asics? I don't know. Which shoe looks the best? What do you mean, which shoe looks the best? There's not an objective answer to that. It's based on your opinions and anybody you're asking. You're just asking for opinions that are 100% factless and meaningless, except from the individual and nobody else but that individual. So I hope you can come to the conclusion that you understand the value of your own opinion. You should not be valuing other people's opinions over your own. If you'd like to know firsthand, buy one. Try it. Come back and tell us what you thought. I'd love for that. But don't ask me how you're going to feel. I don't know how you're going to feel. So I can't answer these kind of questions. Jason Willis says Nike is for sure better than Reebok. No. I completely disagree. I found Nikes to be profoundly uncomfortable and expensive, and Reebok was way more comfortable and cheaper. But now I'm a Hoka guy, so I love my Hokas. I won't go back to Reebok, Asics, or Nike ever again. I was a New Balance fan because New Balance are even more comfortable than Reebok. And glad you mentioned New Balance, Starshine. But no, Hoka, Hoka, best shoe, the best. All right. That is my subjective opinion, for which many of you will disagree because you've never worn a pair of Hokas. All right. Oystein got a HN2673. Yeah, you know what? Those are good mini PCs, but they're way bigger than this. All right, guys. Let's go to rock it. That's it. We're done. Or rather, we have rocked it. And our thanks out to Geekom for sending us the unit. I've been really excited to test this. I love the metal case on it. I love everything about it, except for the rubber feet covering the screws. And that little Wi-Fi antenna, I don't know, I feel like they could have thought that out a little better, but tiny little things, you know. Overall, I think it's a great value for the money, coming from a reputable company that's been in business for 21 years. So with Intel no longer making the Nook, this has been a very similar build quality design. So if you like that Intel quality, you're going to find it with Geekom. Of course, you might find it with Asus too. So, but I think Asus is going to charge you more. And Asus doesn't have anything to compete with this. So again, gets me off topic real quick on stuff like that. This is uniquely offered by Geekom only. Nobody has a competing model for this. You know, sometimes I show you a PC and 4 different manufacturers slap their name on the same mini PC. Not with Geekom, they don't. So That'll wrap it up for me for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you to Mara, of course, for the thumbnail and her participation here in the chat room and doing all the work and the video notes that nobody reads. Poor girl. Thank you to all of you for watching, my members, my moderators. Appreciate you hanging out with me today. I'm not sure if I'm live tomorrow or not. I hope I am. If so, I always start my videos at 12 noon Pacific time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern time. I always do a show on Monday for members only, and I always do a show on Friday for the public at those times, always. With regards to Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays, it's a combination of my day job, if they need me. Lately, they haven't. And also my own errands, doctors, dentists, haircuts. No, it's been a while. But you know what I'm saying? I got to do that during business hours, so I can't do the show at the same time. And then, of course, we have to have equipment to make videos with. So budgetary-wise, it's going to be a tight year. However, rest assured, we have plenty of reviews and projects to get us through right now to the end of April. We're good till the end of April. And ideally, between now and the end of April, some other stuff will come in one way or another. Or the number of shows will be reduced, back to Mondays and Fridays only. So I'm at a point right now where I could do a show tomorrow if time permits. If not, for sure on Thursday and for sure on Friday, of course. And that'll wrap it up for me. I will see you all again very, very soon. And until next time, bye for now.